Hello, Cock, and welcome to the EFL review, the first one of the year. So this will be a weekly thing where we address the Championship and League One results from the previous week. So what we're waiting for, guys, let's just get in there right now. Come on. Luton won, Wimbledon 0 on the Friday night, the opening game. We did a watch along for it in case you weren't aware. And it did go pretty much as expected, really. Like, Luton didn't end up winning from the subs at Impact did sort of put a little bit more pressure on. But Wimbledon were always going to come here and be very hard to break down. That's exactly what they did. As soon as whistle blew, they were just 10 men behind ball, try and play on counter-attacks. Defensively, they were really good. It was just such a freak accident from this Johnson that it went in. Really good on goal, don't get me wrong. No, you can really beat Wimbledon down with it. They're coming against, this is the two biggest budgets difference in entire division. Wimbledon have just got promoted, lost majority of the team that got promoted anyway, for the side that come up through playoffs. Versus Luton, who've still got a parachute payment, loads of brass, nowhere near the finished article yet, and a wage bill probably, what, 5-10 times as big as that of Wimbledon's? I think they had a really good go. I seriously do. I was really impressed with him defensively and how just resolute they were. They didn't tire either, which I thought were eventually going to get them. I did think there would start to be gaps sort of forming all over the place. But they held in strong. They do look a very fit side, Wimbledon, which you've got to be. When you are one at most limited in terms of ability, you've got to be fit. You've got to be able to press at certain times. You've got to be able to just shift without ball non-stop. And they look good out of possession. Luton, like, ultimately, only thing that matters is this, that they've won, that they've got 3 points. And it's never going to be a case of, oh yeah, we're going to come in and immediately hit ground running. We're going to know all these patterns of play. We're going to be linking up like prime Barca. It's just not going to happen, is it? Nobody's bothered, really. It's teething problems for a side that's going to be top 2, you'd imagine, anyway. So I'm not so much focused on the Luton side of things here. But Wimbledon really impressed me. They really, really did. And if they can perform like that all season, they'll give them a serious shot of staying up. Especially when they're going away to tough grounds like this and just sitting that many men behind ball. They will snag a lot of points away from home playing like that. I was really impressed with him despite losing. Then we had Cardiff versus Peterborough at 12:30 yesterday on the Saturday. Now, I've watched every game that's been on. I watched Luton, then I watched this, then I watched Barnsley, and then I've watched Bolton. And in terms of teams that have impressed me, from the games that were on, Wimbledon obviously in the first game, but Cardiff, I were impressed with them, genuinely. I know they put out a very, very young team and they were putting some daft challenges in, really. Salic didn't do a great deal. He weren't really in game that much. I thought Colwell were probably one of the better players on pitch, same as Tanner. That were really good finish from that. Capacchio as well. But there weren't a great deal to go off. I do think Cardiff were lucky to an extent to have not had, this Lawler, to have not had him sent off. They obviously got the penalty and ref did alright, really, to play advantage for it. But he went flying into a man on edge at box. I think it were on fellow who scored anyway. And he rolled down a card. Very rash, and it's what you'd expect from, some kid, really. Like, how old is this fella? 19. Like, it's what you'd probably expect from someone that's not played that many games in his professional career yet to go in a bit daft like that when you're already on a card in first half on edge of your own box. But I think there are a lot to be excited about from a Cardiff point of view, the young, exciting lads that they've got. And Peterborough, I don't want to be too hard on them because it is like a fairly difficult place to go. But in terms of a matchup, this isn't the Cardiff that everybody sort of thinks you're going to be playing against with Callum Robinson and Robertson, you know what I mean? Them type of boys. It is just a academy versus another academy. This is more or less an under-21 game. I thought Collins put him centre back at middle, to be honest. And I don't want to go and be too hard on a team that's just like, obviously, they've lost first game. Like, a lot of good teams have lost the first game. It don't mean anything. And they did play some nice stuff in times. They obviously still like to play a certain way, Peterborough, which is, we are going to play out front back and then try and spring you on counter-attack. And it did work a couple of times, and they've shown me a little bit more than what I expected of them in this game, because I thought Cardiff would just absolutely slap them up. But a 2-0 win to Cardiff, despite what stats say it, well, it probably backs that up as well. I think that is a fair result, really. Obviously, the penalty and the red card potentially could have changed the game if it had been given, but it's just the first instance of refs potentially getting a lot of stuff wrong. Moving on, Blackpool 2, Stevenage 3. Wow. Now, I didn't expect that one either. I thought it'd be a tight, close game. I think I said 1-0 or 2-1 to Blackpool, maybe, in my predictions. But again, looking at stats, this does look like it was quite a fair result, really. Not loads and loads of shots. I do think the Ennis finish late on were quite tidy, quite a cultured finish that from somewhere to expect to score that in this league. But there's been a few instances of keepers and defenders in general just playing really sloppy passes like this first opening game. I know it is first game, and teams are probably still in the pre-season mentality sort of thing. But a really, really slack, sloppy pass from whoever defender. It might have been Eyup, maybe. In fact, I think he was for handball. It might have been Oswald. Someone, anyway, played a really sloppy pass back to keeper. And to be fair, Reed did really well to get it round him and hit it as fast as he did, like in that short amount of time. I think he did really well to finish that. Penalty as well on top of it. Decent finish from Dan Kemp as well. I think that does look quite a fair result as well, like I just said. But Stevenage, maybe they're a bit dodgy at back. Maybe there's something new with Stevenage. Last season, defensively very resolute. Clearly not the case this season. They can be got at. But in first game, I think Stevenage would be absolutely thrilled to go to a team like Blackpool that a lot of people have got in the top 6, which I think people are on Rotherham vibe there. They've done a lot early doers, so people are getting a bit giddy. There's obviously no to worry about from Blackpool. We are in first game. And again, showed some decent bits at time. They've got a lot of experience with this team. And they've also... they've got some striker from Forest. I forgot his name. Blackpool and Plymouth both wanted him, I think. But Blackpool have ended up getting it. I forgot his name anyway. But this will click. They've got a lot of decent players, Blackpool. This will click. But Stevenage are not a million miles behind. They have got some very good defensive personnel, Gianni and Good. Obviously going forward now, where Reed's been there for a bit. But Kemp, Campbell, them type of boys. I'm sure they'll add a couple more. Phoenix Patterson off bench as well. Stevenage are building like an half decent side there. Two good sides. I don't think any of these will be in any danger at all. I think we're probably looking at bottom end, like probably 15th at least for like Stevenage, for example. But Blackpool will come good. Bradford and Wickham. Now, I actually called this one. Not surprising in the slightest. Now, I was getting atted a lot on Twitter by people saying, you were right, Mike Dodds is an horrendous manager. Told you. But Bradford were always going to come and have quite a fast start. What were attendance? Does it say it on here? It was probably about 20-odd thousand, whatever it is. Oh, yeah, attendance, 19,500, and that'll have been with, 500 Wickham or something like that. So we're always going to be bouncing first game. That don't surprise me. I was surprised, though, to see Humphrey stood up front, but I guess you're not going to drop Bobby Poynton, who the resale value is through roof with that fella. So you're going to want to play certain players in natural positions. And from the highlights that I watched, Humphreys had still come quite wide anyway. There were a lot of fluidity within that front three, sort of. First goal came from Humphreys having a shot that got saved, and then Sarkovic tapped in rebound. And Poynton had a nice finish on edge at box as well. He could have had another one as well from the bits that I saw. But yeah, not surprised at all. Like, obviously the lineup that Wickham put out, not the team that you would expect to see, really. Obviously there's no Kone involved because he's going to be sold in the next 5 minutes. And Wickham are not going to want to have a £6 million fee, be injured, and then not get it, and him leaving a free transfer next season. So you can completely understand them not starting him or putting him in squad at all. But when you do take Kone out of this team, and you compare it to last season's side that had Caleb Taylor, Sonny Bradley, Joe Lowe, Scowen's obviously injured, Humphreys, Kone. This is so much worse. So much worse. You've just got to hope that with the expectations that Wickham have got with the money side of things that they've got as well, and they've got some decent depth, especially in middle, but you would think, surely if they sell Kone, you've got to think that Wickham are going to come and drop like £4 million before the end of this window's done, or they're going to be absolutely miles off top 6 with a lineup like that. But again, I don't want to be too harsh on him. Bradford are always going to be up for it first game, and like I said, I think these will be really hard to go and win at their place. There's a couple of sides in this division that people just aren't really giving that much credit to. Someone like Lincoln, and I would daft. I went against my own rule here. I thought Reading would win against Lincoln, and we'll look at that in a minute. But Lincoln at their place, not many teams go there and win. I think Bradford, despite probably finishing in mid-table, I would say that's a fair thing to say, despite a good start. I think they will be very hard to go and win it at their place. Very, very hard to go and score against. Burton 2, Mansfield 1. Now, this Charlie Webster fella ended up scoring both. And second one especially is a rate-tied, a little finish into bottom corner. I don't know if the first one got a deflection or not, but that's a really solid start for Burton, that is, despite Mansfield having better half at starts. This is literally just full of Barnsley rejects. Moon, Sibberg, Lofthouse. How are they all on them rates? Like, I thought that would be a draw, but looking at that Mansfield attacking lineup especially, no Lee Gregory, he's going to... That's going to be tough for him, that, to replace so many goals and experience and leadership like that. That is going to take a lot. Defensively, I think they'll be fine, and the personnel there's all right, really. Liam Robertson, net safe, decent as well. But they do need to spend some brass, Mansfield. And it is first game, so again, literally, who is bothered? Realistically, who's bothered? This is not what every team is going to look like at 1st of September. This is not the group of lads that you're going to carry through season where there's 45 games left. But they need some reinforcements in Mansfield, I think. It's going to be a long old slog for... respectfully, teams like Burton and Mansfield this season. Because like I said, Bradford, Donny, Port Vale, all them sides I expect good things from. Wimbledon really impressed me on Friday night. So Burton's, Mansfields, Exeter's, them sort of teams. It's going to be a slog for you, and this is a really good start for Burton, points-wise. Speaking of, Donny 1, Exeter 0. Now, they absolutely slapped them up on stats, expected goals, shots, absolutely everything. The fact that this went to, what were it, the 88th minute and a penalty thing that won it, I'm surprised that Donny let it get that far. Molyneux obviously played that scored goal, but this is what you would expect from main man Donny. He had 5 shots, he had 10 touches in opposition box, 79 touches in general, a lot of passing final third, very involved, which is what you would expect. I got this result bang on as well, guys. 1-0 to Donny. Oh god, I'm the best. Really sharp off bench, a lot of experience, but a clean sheet first game. We had the best defender as well, and to absolutely dominate stats like that's a really good start for Donny, that is. But also slightly worrying for Exeter, because that is what 90% of the games look like towards back end of last season. They were, however, getting 0-1 that way. They would end up coming and snagging something like this last season. But like I said, you cannot get away with this all season. No way. They did really well and were lucky last season to do it. But to go to someone like Donny, I know, like, respectfully, Donny are not going to be up near the top, but they have come up with some momentum and they've still got Molyneux and these type of boys. But you've been absolutely slapped about first game. There's not a lot of quality there. We in this squad. Whitworth is probably the best player who've gone on loan again. But I really worry for any sort of creative spark or goal threat at all for Exeter. I know it's first game, and I've said for other ones it's quite harsh to say something like that. But this is a thing that's been going on for months. This is not new. These are problems that are there from last season that haven't been addressed. And if you don't get them quickly, you will be right down at bottom. Huddersfield 3, Leyton Orient 0. Yep. I'm just... yeah. I don't think they will change from the position that they're in now, probably till rest of time. I think the first and that's it. Joe Lowe scored a header slash shoulder thing, like it just landed in there and it went one of them ones, wasn't it? Alpha May scored a penalty, and then that Ruskin, I mean, Joe Taylor absolutely scuffed that. If he tries telling anybody that that were a cross, he's lying to you. That were a shot that we're very lucky to have found Ruskin, but they're in a good position, so you can't complain. Stats about what you'd expect, really. Leyton Orient did create odd little bit though, from what I saw. I think Karoma put a really good ball in towards back stick that weren't finished. Connolly looked quite bright. Like Leyton Orient, I do think will score a lot of goals this season. I'm not worried about that. But defensively, they were broken up and a little bit too easy sometimes. But also, I can't judge this as this is the standard of team that Leyton Orient are going to be playing every week and that this is going to be a regular thing, because they've probably got their hardest fixture at year out at where. So I won't be too disheartened. They look bright going forward, but Huddersfield have got so much quality, so much depth, and they're still not finished with signings and stuff like that. Yeah, I won't be surprised to see a lot of results like this for Huddersfield. Really good start, not really that surprising. I said 3-1 because I thought Leyton Orient had scored. They did it post, in fairness, and that ball that from Karoma should have been finished off. But Huddersfield deserved winners at first game. So this is what I was talking about. Lincoln 2, Reading 0. Now, I thought Reading would go here and win. I really did. The other bits of quality that Reading have got, I've addressed a few times now. O'Mahony is great. Lewis Wing, obviously, in middle. They've got Burns, and where the hell is Powdy O'Connor? Where is Powdy O'Connor? Okay, well, that might explain it then, because your best defender that were from Lincoln last season isn't there. So, I don't know what's gone on there. I didn't even know that. And I don't know why that Kamara's playing with some of the players that they've brought in. It's a very mix and match team in terms of what I thought they'd do. I thought Paddy Lane had just come in and started straight away, because he's a really good signing. But yeah, regardless, anyway, Lincoln, I thought with the obvious change in defence that they would probably struggle, losing Sean Rogan and Powdy O'Connor. But they have brought in Sonny Bradley and Fowler, who are fantastic defenders. So yeah, I'm not overly surprised, actually thinking about it afterwards. And hindsight's a great thing in it, and I can easily say it when it says 2-0 there. But they are going to still be very good defensively with that type of back four. Tom Hamer on bench, he only come on for... How many minutes did he come on? I know Barnsley are interested in him, so he come on for, what, like 5 minutes, and he's been starting for him. And it was quite an important piece at puzzle for them last season. But it's quite a good start. Again, on highlights, Reading didn't create a great deal. They probably could have scored one, but they didn't create loads and loads, really. But Lincoln defensively looked really solid. I really like Fowler as well. Really like him. And Bradley, Jackson's been about forever and all. But Jackson and Bradley as a back two, it's just two big, horrible, nasty lumps. And that's what you want in this division. Absolute perfect. The blueprint. Really good start for Lincoln. I'm quite disappointed in Reading because I thought they'd have been like quite exciting for the first game. But with the sort of personnel that they're missing here, not overly surprising looking at it afterwards. But yeah, Lincoln 2, Reading 0. Plymouth 1, Barnsley 3, baby. Quite an even game in terms of shots, like possession, everything like that. But first half, we were 2-0 up in first half. And I think we actually got better when we had 10 men in second half. Because obviously Jack Shepherd got 2 yellow cards for 0 fouls. It's just referees, man. I'm not going to sit here and moan, but you believe me, if we'd have lost this game and that had been reason why, I'd have come on here. Ooh, I'd have lost it, baby. I'd have lost my mind. Brandon Wiredu, I've been hyping this guy up, like the fella from Fleetwood, thinking that, like, why has he been in League 2 for that long? Because he's obviously a quality player. I now see why. Not even for the fact that he launched ball into his own net. Really tidy finish at back post, to be fair. But I have never seen a group of players with their heads absolutely steaming on first game. These absolutely lost plot in like half an hour. Obviously, it's not the 11 that Plymouth are going to run with at rest of season. But defensively, they were absolutely shocking. Watts looked quite good. Like, he looked really bright. I thought Ibrahim looked quite solid as well, two new lads that they've brought in. But yeah, defensively, absolutely awful. Mumbo was shocking. And I think it's quite rare that both set of fans can sit there after the game and say, that ref were absolutely dog shit. But that's how you know. That's really how you know. I think he got probably 80% of decisions wrong. It was ridiculous for both sides. But looking at your title winners for next season, obviously Brandon Wiredu with the first goal, not bothered. Phillips, absolute scorchio on volley. Exquisite. And then Keeler Dunn runs through one-on-one at end and scores to cap it off. But defensively we were really good. And Urian come out after the game and said, last season we'd have probably gone under there. And I completely agree. We would not have seen that game out. Nehemiah Gunner scored another one in any seasons that since we've been down. Even Duff season when we lost to Wednesday. We would not have won that game in any of them seasons. We'd have fallen under in all of them. Whereas midfield depth is just crazy how good it is. It really is. I'm not just saying that to like gas us up because I know that we're lacking in defence still. But his midfield is just ridiculous. Connell looked incredible. Phillips were really good. Davis Keeler didn't do a great deal, but ended up scoring, so who's bothered. Cooper were really good as well at net, made some really good saves. And we still need odd little bit, especially with Roberts getting injured and Shepherd being sent off for absolutely no in first game. But I think with 2 defenders and probably a 9/winger away from... Holy shit, baby. Bland, Kelly, Yoganif. Oh, God. We're on to something here. Jesus Christ. Rotherham 2, Port Vale 1. Now, I've given Rotherham quite a lot of stick for lack of creative spark. For quite a while now. And I'm going to sit here after they've won 2-1 and tell you that I still think the exact same thing. Nombe is brilliant, by the way. Like, absolutely brilliant. And I don't know who got the assist for the first goal, because that were a great ball in Rafferty. That were a serious cross, that. Really good ball. And obviously you've got Nombe on end of it. Tidy finish. Second one was scrappy, but he's just the type of bloke that will score loads of different variations of goal. Like, I really like Nombe. He's a serious player for this division. And first half, I thought they were good from the highlights and bits that I've seen. Second half, this is against 10 men for all of it. So they've come out and immediately just tried to soak up pressure against 10 men. Obviously, Port Vale ended up getting one back before the red card. And I think we're very unlucky that Tolaj didn't just sink that one into the top corner that he hit post with late on. It is scaring me, the fact that you can come out in second half being 2-0 up against 10 men against a newly promoted side and sit back. That is very Barnsley of previous years. Has it ever worked for anybody in history that? It must be one of the most frustrating things ever as a fan to sit there knowing you can just go and like put foot on neck when you could just go for jugular. Like, it annoys me teams doing that. But it's a really good win for Rotherham. First off, it is a really good win because I do think Port Vale will be doing alright. They've got some really good players in this team. Tolaj, Byers, I quite like Jesse Deborah in fairness. Shipley, middle. They've got a lot of experience in this team. They've got a lot of everything really. They've got a perfect mix. I do think Rotherham are strengthening quite well with the players that they bring in. Powell's obviously good. Non-base quality. But I still think there is a severe lack of creativity within this team, as seen by this against 10 men for an entire half, and you had 2 shots, none on target. But again, good win. That's all that matters. 3 points on board early doors. But Port Vale, I don't think you've got absolutely anything to worry about. If you can dig in like that, especially with 10 men, and try and, like, I know they ended up losing, so it don't mean anything, but to proper get your nails dirty with something like that, I quite like the grit that they were showing there in that game. But Rotherham 2, Port Vale 1, good win for Rotherham. And then the last one on Saturday before we look at Stockport and Bolton was Wigan 3, Northampton 1. Now, this could have easily been 7 for Wigan. They looked absolutely incredible. I think it were quite the mix of a Wigan really good or a Northampton just that shit. But I do think it is probably a little mix of both. Wigan could have easily, if they had a different couple of strikers on pitch. I know they've brought 3 new ones in, and I expected a bit more from Costello in fairness. But Costello, Sadie, Mullin who come on as well. Mate, how these guys did not get an hat-trick each, I've no idea. This Murray, they got him on a free from Kilmarnock, I think. I'm sure he's come from Scotland anyway. But two decent goals, he took them quite well. Defensively, we know these are sound anyway. And Northampton had minimal chances, really. But 20 shots and 2.3 expected goals for Wigan. I genuinely think that could be double, and I won't be that surprised. And I've painted Wigan with the same brush I have done Rotherham as well. You know, with transfer window, I think Wigan have addressed a key area in terms of top end at pitch because they've just been shit going forward for years now. But they've always sort of lacked the creative spark and service to give someone like this anyway, even if they did have a decent forward. And I didn't think they'd addressed it, but clearly they have because they had a lot of shots, they created loads, the width looked quite good as well, especially this Hungbo. They look quite good, them two, from the highlights and that side of things. Maybe a bit of a dark horse? Who knows? Like, it is obviously way too early, it's first game, and it might just be Northampton finished dead last in the crap. But quite a worrying start for him. They could have finished the dinner a little bit more as well. I think McGeehan got really unlucky when ball bounced back to him that he couldn't be a bit sharper on it. But like I said, it's first game. Let's not get carried away, top end or bottom, unless you're Barnsley and you know you're going to win league. But slightly worrying for Northampton. And Wigan, really good start, really impressed. And then finally, Stockport 2, Bolton 0. I have literally just finished watching my live stream and I'm immediately recording my reaction to this. I think Stockport have done very, very well to come out of that unscathed and to come out of that with 3 points. Because Bolton, very impressed with them going forward. I'm impressed with both teams. This is very clearly two sides that are going to be quite near top. Both excel in different things. I think Bolton's wingers and just general style of play and also the sharpness and the urgency to get forward is very different to what Bolton have been like under Everett in previous seasons. Like, they're not interested in just keeping it round back and having 80% possession. And I think last season they come here and lost 5-0. So it's an improvement. It's still a loss, but it's an improvement. And I do really like Bolton's chances. Seriously, I know they've lost, but I've come on here and said that Wimbledon have impressed me, despite losing. Vale have. Bolton have. There's a lot to like about Bolton and how they're set up so far. But also, equally with Stockport, you've got to give credit where it's due. They weren't the better team in this game, but it's the sign of a very good side that you can win 2-0, have a clean sheet in one of the harder games and harder teams that you can play, and still come out with a clean sheet and a win. So 3 points is all that matters, but two very good sides there. I was genuinely impressed with both sides. I think they'll be right near the top. And then to look at the table, obviously it is the first game, so it means absolutely nothing. But Leyton Orient, Reading, Bolton and Northampton, unlucky lads, you're going down. Huddersfield, Wigan, Barnsley, Stockport and Lincoln, all with a +2 goal difference for the first game. Very impressed with like Huddersfield, Barnsley, Wigan as well, in fairness, and also Bradford and Cardiff. A lot of teams impressed me, genuinely. Early doors, a lot of teams have impressed me. As for top scorers, we'll have a look at this as well, just for a laugh. Fraser Murray, Nombe, Reed and Webster all on 2 goals, and then everybody else on 1. But that's that. That is the first EFL review done. It's obviously all in League One because that's all it's been on. Next week, once Championship starts this weekend, we will have Championship and League One as well. Regular, every Monday, probably roughly midday, so it gives me time to record it and edit it and everything. But boys, absolute pleasure. Love you all. Kiss. It is so good to be back. Barnsley can just so easily ruin everything though, and next week I might come here with a face like a slapped ass. So who knows? But boys, absolute pleasure. Love you all. Kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. It does help me out a lot, and I will see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.